at a pre-meeting before our work session. This is our annual review, department head reviews of priorities and goals for 2021. And we have 5 different sections that we're going to review tonight, DPW, planning and engineering, development services, and communications. And so, board, you have copies of all that material. Thank you to the department heads, and thank you for Lisa distributing that. First up is our friend Mr. Tate, who is our Director of Public Works. He happens to be here in the auditorium along with Mr. Valentine, Director of Planning, and our town engineer, Mr. Costello, Director of Development Services. And this evening I have the honor and privilege of being socially distanced two Tony LaFountains away, Debbie Draw, and then zoomed in we have Mr. Moore, Mrs. Cole, and Mr. Ockenden. And with that, the floor is yours. You've got 3 other folks behind you, and they have already said to make sure that you don't hog all of the time, but make sure that we give you the time that you need to give us an update on what's going on from a DPW standpoint. So, Eric, if you would, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Thank you and good evening. So a lot of DPW's priorities and goals are similar to what you've seen in past years. Overall, our top priority and goal, is to continue to maintain any and all infrastructure that we currently have, keep it in kind of the best working order that we've got, and try to improve where able. As far as employee and leadership development, we still want to work, not only with the our crew members, but all members, and staff within DPW. Come up with any kind of training opportunities and plans. In particular, come up with 3 or 4 of the most important training opportunities. Go over that with them, during the kind of review process, whether that be just on an annual basis or for some of the newer employees at 6 and 18 months as well. And then go over the kind of training success, and completion tied to that. As far as improved communications, I think it was implemented a number of years ago, but we've got a suggestion box down at DPW that a number of employees, utilize on from time to time. Put in different ideas, suggestions. We also have a morning meeting with the guys every single day. I'm going to go over anyone's got any questions, concerns, issues, try to address those as quickly as possible. But some of the kind of bigger issues and topics, even to be anonymous, they sometimes put in that suggestion box, and that gets reviewed between Tony, Tracy, and myself, and then we act on that appropriately. As part of the morning conversations, certainly want to continue to share any financial data, whether that be kind of our budget status, where we're at, what we're looking like, what money we may be getting and is allocated by New York State for CHIPS, Paved New York, Extreme Winter Recovery, how much salt we're using, what we've got left, what we need to do, kind of snow data, give them kind of an idea of where we're at year to date compared to previous years, as well as our overall operational cost and the total budget. Certainly also want to make sure that everyone's fully aware of everything that's going on. So from the time the foremen start giving orders in the morning, reviewing those projects with the crews themselves, and then making sure that the crews actually get together as kind of smaller individual groups and share that information with everyone, so everyone knows what they're doing, what tools and equipment they need to get, and that they're prepared for the day and understand what they're going to be doing and what's expected of them. We then take those sheets back at the end of the day. We go over them, make sure that everything went well. If there's any adjustments and tweaks that need to be made, we can do that, and then kind of keep those to look back at from time to time, for the employee progress reviews. As far as safety and attendance management, we had one, just yesterday morning. but the monthly safety meetings, still heavily participating in that. We also have our own subset of that kind of within DPW and just of DPW staff members. So myself, the deputy director, each of the foremen, and then any employees that want to participate to kind of go over more of the DPW specific related projects or safety concerns and issues and accidents and whatnot. We're going over any incidents that have happened in the past month, trying to see what things we can do to avoid similar incidents from happening again. And if there's anything we can do to be proactive to avoid any future. And then with that, we are tracking our lost time days. Currently, we are at 169 days without any, or 169 days without lost time. So hopefully that number continues to increase. As far as performance objectives, as we do every year, certainly want to look for any opportunities to grow our revenues. So whether that be through Penfield Central Schools, through the Monroe County DOT and projects that we can do through them, or any state aid. We keep track of the budget. As when Barbara lets me know that Logix is up to date every month, certainly kind of pull a report, see where we're at, and make sure that we're still on track for the year. This year we will be implementing an accounts payable automation software that's going to be rolling out and really starting kind of hot and heavy in the next few days through a program called DocuWare. So we'll be implementing that and kind of working through the bugs to use that for all of our financial record keeping. I skipped over one, but certainly want to make sure that we're maintaining all of our compliance requirements. So working with Mark and his team on any permits, but also from DPW itself, making sure that our portion of the MS4 is up to date, that our fuel system is accounted for, and taking care of that we're taking care of any spill, any chemical spill controls, and especially our above ground and underground storage tanks. And then certainly looking for any grant funding opportunities that are available. For personnel, certainly want to kind of utilize our existing employees to absorb any workload demands that we have, get as much done as possible. Especially in the summer, we do typically look to bring on some seasonal help to help out with some of our parks related projects, and then winter, a little bit of some of our snow watch dispatchers. A few of them work entirely kind of afternoon and overnight shifts. A few of them do kind of a split weekend and weekday to help us out a little bit as well. We did put a request in the budget and was approved to add a full-time mechanic to the highway department this year. So in the next few weeks, we'll be looking to get that posting out and get that position filled. We also made a revision to change a part-time employee to a full-time employee for a dog control officer position, as we've been having difficulty filling that part-time, and it'll also help offset some of our needs with security in the evenings. Aside from that, I believe that's pretty much it for personnel. Expense and capital funding, we certainly put in, have a number of different vehicles and heavy equipment that we requested, from plow trucks to pickup trucks to backhoe, skid steer, tractor, camera van for the sewer department, another pickup for them as well, another work van for the facilities department, as well as a pickup. And then aside from equipment, some of the bigger items would be kind of continuing forward with a design and build of a new DPW garage facility, if that's what the board elects to do. Playground equipment, this year we're looking at the lower playground over at Harris Wayland Park, as we did the upper one a few years ago. 4 rooftop HVAC units, I believe all over at the community center. This Friday we're going to be doing the last phase or the bid opening for the fourth and last phase for the community center roof replacement project. We'll also be installing some additional security cameras over at the community center this year. Guys are currently working on installing and implementing a building access control system here at Town Hall. And we'll be looking to, it was something we were hoping to do last year, but kind of with everything going on and from a financial standpoint, we needed to push it. We'll be looking to replace and upgrade the our country club pump station pumps and controls. So that's something that I'd like to get in the works as soon as the weather breaks and allows. Right now, I'm unsure of exactly what roads we're going to be milling and paving, as I'm still waiting on guidance from the New York State as far as what allocation we'll get for CHIPS Extreme Winter Recovery and Pave New York. As soon as I get that and we know what money we've got to spend, I'll certainly share that information with you. And we'll be, lastly, we'll be looking to, chip seal approximately 15 miles of various town roads. We've since gone through our list, and instead of bouncing all over the town, doing one road here and one road there, we're trying to kind of focus on different regions of the town and do neighboring streets. As far as specialized support, the biggest thing will be looking for synergies, ongoing support with the mechanics diagnostic laptop and software. And then, as you guys just passed in a resolution last week, working with Solera Concepts to assist with the ongoing support for the snow and ice program that's been set up that we use to keep track of our snow and ice data and our snow tickets that we submit for reimbursement through Monroe County DOT and New York State DOT. For ongoing and specialized trainings, a lot of them are similar to what we're doing in what we've done in past years through Cornell Cooperative Extension for pesticide management education, various management and employee workshops. I have not heard anything about the annual Highway Superintendent's Conference. I know last year's got canceled. This year's is still to be determined. Any computer training courses that could be a benefit to anyone. We've gone through New Horizons for those in the past, and certainly look to continue doing that. Any safety training workshops and heavy equipment training, we're trying to do that on the job with the crews as much as possible, but also looking for suggestions from them to incorporate into our monthly safety trainings. Our security guard training is an ongoing yearly certification that everyone has to, that all of the security guards have. The nuisance wildlife control operator training is utilized by our animal control officers. That's just an ongoing re-registration for that. But we'll certainly look, as we bring a new dog control officer in, to have them acquire that at some point in time as well. And then last one is our Parks and Grounds certification for both pesticide, to become certified pesticide applicators, as well as certified playground inspectors for playground equipment. The major projects that may involve other town department resources and significant interface, we'll be looking at the first one would be the ongoing drainage projects and permit application process that Mark and the engineering team has helped out with, and will continue to do so. The second being the implementation of the DocuWare for the accounts payable automation. So that'll be kind of a combination of DPW, finance, and IT. Next one would be design and bond preparation for a new DPW garage facility. So that would be coordination between myself and some members of DPW, finance department, yourselves as town board, as well as our legal counsel. And then last, design and bid of the utilizing the New York State READY grant for the upgrade and improvement projects for our Empire No. 1 sanitary sewer pump station. That'll also be kind of coordination between Mark and the engineering staff, our finance staff, and myself. And do you want me going through the summary as well?
No, what I'm going to do, Eric, I'm going to be sensitive to time because we do have a busy agenda coming up for town board and guests. I'm just going to ask board any questions for Eric. You have the information from his accomplishments from 2020 that he's highlighted, and then any questions that you've heard tonight that you'd like to just have addressed by him. Okay. I'd just like to recognize Eric for all of his efforts from a highway sanitary sewer standpoint, facilities, parks facilities, animal control. Thanks for all your efforts, Eric. Even though we were delayed by COVID on a number of things, Eric and his team did a great job of making sure that we got as many things done as we could, and we did it safely. And so, Eric, thank you for those efforts.
Sure. Thank you.
Hey, Tony?
Yes, sir. Andy.
Tony, just a real quick question. I know in the past, and maybe you can answer this, certainly I think Eric can. In the past, there's been some misinformation and some rumors, out there in the public that the town goes out and sprays pesticides on all of the land that it owns, all the recreation park lands, all the town-owned property, stuff like that. And I've continually, and I know you have, Tony, said that that is not the case. Could you or Eric just elaborate for 30 seconds or a minute to confirm that that is not the case, that the town does not go out and spray pesticides all over the park land and all over town-owned land?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So as you indicated, yes, that is incorrect. We do not treat every square inch of every town property. Even if we wanted to, there's not enough time in the day to do it. We have done selective and spot treatments. So some of the kind of flower beds around the town facilities, in the garden areas, tree rings, some of the certainly not, no sports fields, no playgrounds, some of the like brick walkways and, stone walkways we've done just to keep weeds from growing through there. But certainly nowhere where, kids would be kind of playing or rolling around in the grass.
We do, Andy. We do spot treatments. So if we have ground bees, and typically we get those around playgrounds, little league, soccer fields, and things like that, we'll address those as spot treatments so that there is the protection and safety of those young adults that are using our facilities.
Okay, thank you.
I'll also tell you that almost on an annual basis, we do get requests to know what has been used for that prior year. And what I'll say is that if I take a look at the last half a dozen years or so, the town continues to reduce the amount and types. And most anything that we do put down is more along the organic side of things,
Yes.
more from a safety standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. All right.
Mr. Supervisor, may I
Yeah,
ask one question as
absolutely.
well? Thank you. Thanks. Eric, great report. Thank you so much in what you've done here, what you're continue to do. I just had a question for you. When you mentioned going from a part-time and the dog security and our animal/security
Yes.
person, that you're going to go from a part-time to another full-time, would that be then there'll be two?
No, we're
Okay.
actually going to be, instead of looking for a part-time, we've been having difficulty filling that position, so rather than a part-time, it would be a full-time that would serve the purpose of both covering for animal control and dog control, as well as assisting with security within our parks.
So obviously that full-time person will not be 7 days a week.
It wouldn't be 7 days a
Right.
week, no.
So
No,
then-
it'd be Monday through Friday, basically 3 PM to 11 PM.
And then if, on the weekends,
I do still have an
You have-
animal control officer that works strictly Saturdays and Sundays, as well as a third that works, Monday through Friday, currently 8:30 to 5. He'll be changing his hours to do 7 to 3:30 so that the two have a half-hour overlap to discuss kind of what's going on, if there's anything to keep an eye out for.
Great.
And provide that coverage.
perfect, thanks.
So we have gone almost 2 years plus without a part-time because we have not been
Right.
able to find one. And so anytime from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, it's a combination of our weekend person or our regular full-time person that picks that up. And as you can imagine, it's a pretty expensive endeavor to do that from an overtime and a cost standpoint. So this full-time person will split the duties of covering basically from 3:30 to 11 o'clock, a combination of animal control and security.
Great.
Yep.
And then one other question too, Eric, on the grants. How much, I mean, are you, besides yourself, are you spending, is other people too looking for grants? I know how much time consuming it is to look for those and try to find opportunities.
Sure. So I'm certainly looking, I know MRB is the group that we're working with on for the DPW building. I know they've, been looking for specific grants, and can kind of help assist with that building project itself. I know Mark, is kind of keeping an eye out as well, as well as Tony, and kind of, sharing that information. If we see anything applicable to another department, we're passing that on
Good.
as well.
Yeah, great. Whatever we can find. Thank you.
All
Thanks
right.
very much.
All right, Mr. Valentine, you've got engineering first and then planning. We can
Okay.
roll right in.
Jump right into it.
Yep.
I have the EPA Phase 2 compliance first and foremost. Ours are in no particular order, but that does take quite a bit of our time. As this board is well aware, we come often and share about the requirements from both the EPA and the DEC. That requires us doing a weekly inspection of all construction sites. As Eric shared, doing evaluations of our own facilities, making sure we do proper pollution prevention, inspection of plans, review to make sure they're designed in compliance with erosion control and proper stormwater-related items. This also involves our association with the Monroe County Stormwater Coalition. I sit on the executive committee of that group to help keep Penfield at the forefront of, again, any grant opportunities to help the town. But that does, I'm sure the group is aware of the H2O Hero, so that's public education, inspection, pond discussions, which we even have later tonight about making sure we get inspections of those, public and private, and then developing an overall plan for that. So it does take quite a bit of staff time to do that, spread out through the year, but obviously important to keep us in compliance at all times. And they keep threatening a new permit is coming out, which I'm sure the regulations will only get more stringent rather than less stringent. So we're trying to keep compliance with what we have now and stay on the pulse of what's coming in the future to make sure we stay up on top of that. As far as design and construction projects, we've tried to do more and more of our own in-house design. Obviously, that's a savings of cost. Continue to work on the Allen's Creek project. Actually, it's on the agenda tonight for further discussion. For the erosion project there, working with a consultant on that one, but doing a lot of the other parts ourselves. Using or leveraging grant applications is the Community Development Block Grant. We apply for that every year. That's based on an area of town that qualifies for it. This year, we're looking to use that money on the Courtshire neighborhood. There's a culvert in that area that is met its life expectancy. We're looking to replace that, so looking to use those, hopefully get those grant funds. We've got the application in process already, get those submitted, and hopefully get some grant funding to get that culvert replaced. We continue with our pond treatment program. We'll talk about that later. Work with Eric and his team to do ongoing stream cleaning, maintain our drainage ways. That's been a very important part of this board and the town, is to keep our drainage operating properly, and I think that's helped in the recent storms we've seen. It's minimized any major issues that we've seen, and then also working to keep our ponds maintained and functioning properly. So, working through those. On the sanitary sewer side of things, we are looking at one of the major areas we see development, and it'll carry over into the planning side, is the mixed-use area along 250. So one of the constraining items would be sanitary sewer units. So we're engaged in a study right now to see what sewer availability there is. So as we grow and that area expands, make sure we do have enough sewer units to facilitate any future development. We do have a READY project, so it has a READY grant down on Empire Boulevard. As part of the lake level items is to raise or modify our 2 pump stations down there to make sure that they're flood-proofed and aren't impacted by the high lake levels we've seen as of late. So through the state, they had some, they call it the READY project, but READY funding we've seen with some other communities working on that, as well as continue to work on, we've completed the design for the sewer bypass, something we're working on with the town of Webster to bypass an area that there are some restrictions, and that will garner some additional sewer units for the town of Penfield. So as we see development on the kind of the north end of town, having that additional capacity would help make sure that, you know, that continue to go forward. The engineering department continues to be the floodplain manager for the town. We, I won't say often, but we've had audits on that to make sure we're in compliance, make sure there's no filling in floodplain areas, businesses operate, you know, properly within those zones. The Panorama Park Plaza area is kind of our biggest floodplain area, but we do have floodplains that, you know, carry through all creeks and streams in different areas. So as part of our normal review, we make sure that, you know, people aren't building in those areas. That could impact not only the town's insurance levels, but also the residents. If we don't control that properly, we could actually be in danger of losing any sort of flood control or flood insurance policies if we don't handle that properly. So that's important to stay on top of that. The annual sidewalk program, as Councilwoman Draw has shared, she's enjoying the sidewalks on Huntington Meadows. Our group oversees we've been doing the design right on, you know, coordination with the neighbors, right on through construction bidding and everything else to get those installed. Those are, you know, always well utilized and well liked. We do have GPS units and continue to update our mapping and infrastructure so we know what's out there and you know, work with Eric and his team on that. And as I shared earlier, you know, we continue to try to do a lot of in-house design and permitting, keep costs low, you know, understand that, you know, any time we've got to go out, you know, that's an additional impact to our costs. Highlighted, you know, the committees that, you know, the engineering department sits on or supports: Town Board, Planning Board, Transportation Committee, the Watershed Committee, Energy Advisory Committee, and then also the Comprehensive Plan. At this time, no additional requests for personnel, capital expenses, any IT needs, as were shared through, it says the assessor's office here was through HR and the IT group. Ongoing training, keeping up with my professional engineering license requires professional development hours and on every 3-year basis, keeping those up. GIS, keeping up our levels in our training for the GIS group. The floodplain management, training for that, and then as well as there's 4-hour courses for our inspectors to make sure that, you know, we're in compliance with the stormwater. Major projects, we kind of work, you know, with many and all departments, particularly DPW, developmental services, building, zoning, and then obviously, you know, planning department as well. Any questions on engineering, or I can go through planning and then save questions to the end, or?
So questions, engineering side, gang, for Mark?
Okay.
Mark and his team do a great job, fingers in a lot of pots to help support the town in many ways. So thank you, Mark, to your engineering side of your biz.
Yep. On the planning, excuse me, on the planning side, comprehensive plan is first and foremost here. Obviously with COVID, that schedule bumped out from where we want to be. Just as we kind of got our feet back under us, we did lose our town planner. We've since promoted from within, as well as backfilled that role. We are working on that now, hopeful in the next few weeks to get a draft out to the committee as well as to the board to take a look at. So that is a high priority for us to get that done. We know that's an important part of the community and as well as the planning going forward. So while, you know, delayed from where we want to be, we'll get that moving and get that completed. Implementation of the mixed-use district, as I shared earlier, that is a very sought after or highly visual area right now, with Penfield Square is actually looking to get their C of O and start to move residents into that area. We've had interest from adjoining properties to the north and both to the east. and we may see those coming into the planning board here shortly. So that's why, one, we're trying to stay ahead on sewers, but that area has garnered a lot of interest, and I think, hopefully will be a great asset to Penfield, a walkable community area, an area, the Penfield Square is for the seniors, right near the YMCA. So I think that'll be a great hub or an area that, will continue to grow. Continue to support builders and developers. This kind of segues in with PCTV. PCTV, and sure we'll share the rollout of their website, and we see that as a great asset. We can get stuff on there. Been working with Dave and the website team to properly communicate when we have applications up, as we've done in the past, but they've got some great new tools to come out that show the properties under review, where they are. People can track, where their interest is, and then give people, the application form, the letter of intent, show them a little bit of site plan, so before the public hearing, they can get, some more information and see what's going on about the projects. And then at the same time, we can put up more application forms and stuff on the site, so the developers and the builders can move their applications along. As part of requirements, we continue our in-house as we can, or low-cost training for board members. Planning board members are required to get 4 hours of training each year. Some of them get it through their off interest or their own companies, their own training through that. Otherwise, we provide stuff internally for them. And then also provide training for our own staff and keep our staff up to date on that. On the personnel side, much to my chagrin, our good friend Mr. Costello partially retired last year. So been working with him. See, we've absorbed some. He's still trying to shepherd it all, but when and if he decides to fully retire, obviously we'll have to see how do we handle that, how do we absorb that, add another person in to carry what he does forward. Obviously, he's a great asset to the town and has many years of experience, so say replacing is not even a word or an option, but how do we best handle that and still support our residents with that. No changes in expense or capital funding. Again, software, computer training, working through the human resources and IT department. Training, we'll see where COVID takes us, but I know they've been offering online training, again, staying up with American Planning Association, any planning conferences, GIS, training to keep the staff up to date on that. Obviously, continue to work with the planning board and conservation board, make sure that they have any training or support as they need it. Major projects, obviously the comprehensive plan, once it's adopted, continue to start to implement that in the plan that is adopted as we move ahead. We'll continue to implement our town adopted sidewalk policy, the trail master plan, the bike facilities plan, and then if needed, what comes out of the comprehensive plan, those may need a refresh or an update on those. And then likely coming out of the comprehensive plan will be a call for an update to the traffic study. I think the last one we had was 1998. Obviously, we've seen a lot of development change through the town. That's not saying that's the last time we've checked traffic. We've done small areas, pockets. We've done the Route 250 corridor study. Since then, we've done other areas, but on a town-wide basis, I'm expecting that to be a recommendation out of the comprehensive plan is to do more of a comprehensive town-wide study look. So.
Okay. So Mark and I were speaking yesterday. I know a number of the board members have asked from a comprehensive plan standpoint. We're looking to have that draft out the next couple of weeks. I think Mr. Costello's reviewing a couple of sections right now. I know that Doug Sangster picked up the ball from Zach Nersinger when Zach went on to other duties and responsibilities down just outside of New York. And so we're getting close to making sure that a draft gets to the town board and to the committee so that as we continue to maneuver 2021, the goal is to try to get things wrapped up by the end of the first quarter. So with that, questions, board, for Mark on the planning side of the business?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mark, again, thank you for that, and the team on the planning planning side of things. Let's next recognize Mr. Costello on the Development Services side of the business.
Thank you, Tim. Going through the priorities for this year coming up, one of the main priorities, obviously, is what we're doing with the Clark House and Shadow Pines. For a lot of people that don't know, the town board did, back in the fall, direct me to have a needs assessment or a building survey prepared for the Clark House. That assessment was completed in December and submitted to the town board. I think as a courtesy, we also submitted it to the Historic Preservation Board. Our intent is to put that document online as soon as Dave has his website to a point where he's comfortable getting it out to the public. And there was a 170-page document outlining the things that needed to be done to make the Clark House functionable and habitable for a potential tenant. Supervisor has already directed staff to look at 4 or 5 major issues that have to be addressed, such as drainage issues associated with the east wall of the building, roofing, mold remediation, which I think Eric's going to talk about a little bit later, replacement of sill plates, and I'm sure there's something else out there that I didn't hit on, but we have already started to prioritize the needs for that building and determine what the costs are going to be as we go through that process. It's a very lengthy document and will take quite a bit of time to complete those issues. Second thing is a big issue that I deal with on a day-to-day basis is assisting commercial developers and commercial property owners to fill vacant properties within the town, within the various commercial zoning districts. That will continue on throughout the year. As you can imagine, we've had a pretty good run over the last several years. We had a very low vacancy rate in the town for our commercial properties. As you know, we only have about 380 of them at this point in time, but we did have a very low vacancy rate. Obviously, with COVID in place, that has risen a little bit. We've lost some good restaurants, but the good news is we've had other people interested in opening up new restaurants in their places, and hopefully that will come about as we get towards the end of the COVID issue here, if that happens. Other issues, as Mark mentioned, was the development of the comprehensive plan update. That's been an ongoing thing. Luckily, we were able to get back on track now through the fall, and as Tony mentioned, within the next couple of weeks, we should have a final draft document for the board to review. The second document that I've been working on for years, which is near and dear to Andy Moore's heart, is the Arundecoit Bay Coordinating Committee's Harbor Management Plan update. It's supposed to be updated every 10 years. It was not updated 10 years ago. We're now in our 20th year. It's taken the last 3 years to get to where we need to be. It's an intermunicipal document that's associated with the 3 towns of Arundecoit, Webster, and Penfield. It also involves the county of Monroe, their planning division, the DEC, the health department, and even state and federal agencies. So there are a lot of people involved in this. We're hoping to have that document wrapped up in the next couple of months, and we'll provide that to the town board as well for review, as each town board in the 3 towns will have to accept the document or adopt it once they're comfortable with it. There's no additional personnel anticipated in 2021 unless somehow, some way I fade away, but hopefully that won't happen. We are looking at sign repairs. You might notice if you've driven by the town hall on Atlantic Avenue that Eric's people worked with me and sign language to prepare a new sign out there. That was installed internally by the town. It looks great, and there are a couple of other signs that need some kind of repair or upgrade, and I'm working with the supervisor to determine which ones he wants to have upgraded this year. Any computer needs will be consistent with other departments. If we do any training, computer training, that type of thing, it'll all be done probably locally. There's no intent to do any traveling or anything of that nature. Any conferences this year would be in-house as well. Certainly with the new town portal, we do a lot of our training in-house now, so there's no need to go outside for that. I've been continuing to clerk as the clerk to the Historic Preservation Board. I greatly enjoy that. It's a great board to work with. Hope to continue to do that. They've got some interesting things coming up this year. Most notably, I'm now working with a couple of people that are interested in purchasing the Daisy Flour Mill. It's in the very early stages, but it'll be interesting to see if we can move forward with that. And they'll be giving that group a lot of input and direction as to what they need to have done for that project. Working with the communications department, I spent a lot of time with Phil Azealia, the communications specialist, providing her with information for various projects she's working on to get information out to the public. She does a lot of work with the supervisor for presentations that he might take on, and I spend a lot of time working with her in that area. Have to give her a big round of applause for the work that she's done and doing a lot of the work on the website that I've given her work that she's taken care of for me, so I appreciate that. Again, the Recreation Department, we work with them on a periodic basis. We will work with them as it relates to how to deal with the Clark House and Shadow Pines. I'm also working with the town attorney on a potential land donation of 5 acres in the town. Families are offering that land, and we're in the process of now trying to work through the details to get that resolved. The other thing we've just recently started thinking about is developing a code requirement for the use of Airbnb within our residential zoning districts. We've had a couple of issues that had to be resolved that we think that we can develop a code that is probably fair to those that would like to lease their lands, but by the same token will also protect the integrity of the residential neighborhoods in which they're located. And those are pretty much the main ones. There's probably about 1 million little things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, but those are the main issues at hand.
Okay, Board, questions for Kaz? I will assure you that he's not sitting around, and we are getting all of the hours out of him and then a few more.
Tony's figured out a way to make a 35-hour week working it within a 20-hour week. It's pretty amazing.
That's
We're able
right.
to pull that off.
That's right. Well, he's been working on that to his credit, and a number of folks in the office around him that have been helping and supporting. So thank you to those folks, Mark, Phyllis, and your teams for that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Tony.
Nice job.
Okay, seeing no questions for Mr. Costello, I'm going to recognize my friend Phyllis, and she's going to take us home for round one
Hey.
of our goals and priorities.
Save the shortest for last. Hi, everybody. My work tends to be ongoing. Year to year, I'm telling you the same thing, but it's a good thing. It's been a good rapport that we've had all between Tony and all the department heads and my colleagues with the communication team. I will continue to work with the supervisor on all of our communications, and we have a standard that we uphold of fact-based, accurate, timely, and transparent communications. And it's how we talk to each other, it's how we plan what we're gonna, what our messaging is and how it's gonna go out. I will continue to support internal and external communications. That was a truly unique year that we closed up with 2020, but it continues into 2021 as we address COVID. That really impacted our messaging internally and externally. It caused us to really use all of our tools and work together, get information from departments back out to residents, and try and help everybody understand how they could reach each other. As we were going, limiting access to the town hall and providing different ways to communicate. So everybody really worked together well on that. I will continue to work on the website team. We've been hard at it trying to get this website launched. COVID interrupted us is how I characterize a whole lot of things that happened to us, but it's I'm excited about what we're putting together and how the departments have been very involved, and we're working to help everyone understand how the website can help them communicate more directly with residents. So let's see. I will continue to work on the Energy Advisory Committee. Our big project for 2021, the main topic will be community choice aggregation. And you've heard about it. You're going to be hearing more about it, and there's going to be lots of things to review this year. And in terms of resources, I don't need anything, and I don't need to spend any money. Training I get in-house through HR. And my major projects that from other departments that will affect me are the website, the release of the comprehensive plan, and community choice aggregation. Also in there are things that I'll be paying attention to that I think will get a lot of communication attention is the plans for Clark House and Shadow Pines, what becomes of the DPW facility, and let's see what else here. I'd say the rest of that is business as usual.
All right, great. Phyllis, thank you. Questions for Phyllis? Okay, seeing no questions, again, Phyllis, thank you for your efforts, and Mark, Kaz, and Eric, thank you for everything you guys do. I think it's important that we take a few minutes to just review these at a high level, so the board has a general understanding of all the great work these folks are doing, how it intertwines with a lot of departments at times, and certainly provide a good overview to our community as well. So again, thank you for that. So this portion of our meeting I'll declare closed, and we're going to take a short recess, and then we'll start in with the January 27th work session at 7 o'clock sharp. Again, thank you for everyone that participated. Be well, be safe, and we'll see you in a few minutes.